Hey guys, and welcome to episode 20 of Surgan's Feed the Beast Season 3 Let's Play. I'm sitting here in my base, and if you remember last episode, we had started our automated mining. And the reason that I went down to bedrock, I think I'll go ahead and cover in this episode. What I'd like to do is start off first by making a bedrock breaker. It's pretty easy. We just need a little bit of obsidian, some steel, and some base panels. I wonder if I have any base panels. I only have 2. That's easy enough to make though. Now I do actually have some steel cooking up right here, because I knew I was going to need some. So let's make one more set of base panels, and I should have some obsidian. I just need 3. And I'm going to need a couple of diamonds. So let's throw it all together here in our work table. 2 diamonds, piece of steel, and base panels. And we have a bedrock breaker. Now I'll show you how this thing works in just a second. But there is one thing that was commented on one of my other videos, and it is something that I should have covered. If you remember when we did our witchery episode, or episodes, because I think there was 3 of them, there was one thing that I did not cover, and that's these trees. And the reason is because I was actually just given the trees by one of our builders here on the server. And so I didn't really cover how to actually get them. If you run around in the world, you won't actually find them. You have to make them with witchery. So if you remember here, we made Hint of Rebirth. And if we click on that here, you can see it's made with spruce saplings in the witch's oven. And what we can do with that Hint of Rebirth is we need to make Mundus. And I was originally going to make Mundus with it. Why is it not Mund? Not that kind of Mundus. It is... Oh, Mutandis. Sorry, Mundus is from Thaumcraft. So Mutandis. So we need to make that Mutandis, and that's why I needed eggs. I also need a whole bunch of wood ash, some mandrakes, bone meal, cactus. Pretty easy. I should have a whole bunch of wood ash in here. So what I'll do is put this in here and just split this up. I need some eggs. I have some mandrake right here. And where was it? I'm going to need some bone meal, some cactus, and some eggs. That's easy enough. Let me go grab that. I don't know if I have any cactus green cooked up yet, but I know I have some cactus. So, yeah, it doesn't look like I have any cooked up, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and throw this right in here, let that cook up. And we're going to need some eggs, which I have plenty of. And then I'm also going to need bone meal, which I have plenty of too. Let's see how our cactus is going. There we go. So if I run back down here, where I have everything set up and we make the Mutandis, I'll go ahead and show you how we get those trees. So what I need to do is put my eggs, my bone meal, my cactus green, and that's going to get me a whole bunch of the Mutandis. And the way that this works is you can take any sapling. You can take oak, spruce, birch. Those I'd stick with those. You can probably use jungle, but these are the ones that I just had. And what you need to do is plant them, don't let them grow, and right-click with the Matandus. Now, what it'll do is it'll transform it into something else. In this case, I just got a mushroom, so let's try it again. Tall grass. Flower. I wonder if I can click on tall grass with it. I can. There we go. So now we have a rowan sapling, and that's one of the trees that you can get with witchery, or that you need for witchery. So basically, it looks like we can use not just saplings, but any type of plant material. So there's another rowan. Let's see, jungle, oak, Spanish moss, rowan. There we go. So there's a alder sapling, and we'll see if we can get the last one. Now you can see that I'm going through quite a bit of this, and that's just because it's random on what you get. Alder, I already have one of those. Glintweed, I don't have one of those, so I'm just going to take that one. And last sapling, Ember Moss. Oh, that's kind of cool. I don't have any of those either. Okay. Let's see if I can get this to change for me. There we go. Hawthorn. There's the other type of sapling. And then obviously once you have one, you can grow a tree and get a whole bunch more. Like I said, it's not something that I had covered before just because I was actually given the saplings that I needed. So now we have our bedrock breaker. Let's go ahead and go down to our mining area and I'll show you how this works. Okay, so now we're down here in our mining area and you can see that my boring machines are still running. I'm going to go ahead and turn them off and just break these. And you can see that they actually went for quite a ways. Let me go ahead and light this up because I'm sure it's a bit dark. And just in case anybody's wondering, this is malachite. It's not diamond. So if I'm not picking it up, that's why. I may come through and pick it up a little bit later, but I wonder why it stopped right there. Now that's diamond. Not that I don't have a whole bunch of them, but I'll pick it up anyway. And I just want to light this up just so, one, we can see, and two, so that way I don't have a whole bunch of mobs spawning down here. Let me turn on F7 just to make sure that I cover the area well enough. Yeah, see, there's a couple of spots in here. That'll work. You know what? Instead of this one, I'll just put that on the floor. Seems like putting them on the floor is going to be a whole lot better than putting them on the walls. So let me go ahead and light this area up, and I need to light up this one as well. Oh, that makes it much easier. Just go ahead and throw them down. Wonder how far this one went. See, it did the same thing where it kind of stopped. It's odd. Maybe it was starting to work on that side. I really couldn't tell you. It could be something with the chunks, because these chunks have to be loaded, and that might be why it really didn't get everything. But there we go. See, now we have a nice lit up, and I did go ahead and close this off just because I know that I didn't light this up. So I might as well do that now. Oh no, no, no! I'm probably gonna die. Yep. Now, like I had said in a previous episode, I'm not cheating. This server has keep inventory on if you're in the overworld. It's something that I really wouldn't have on if if I was playing in say a single player world, but unfortunately I don't control the server, so it's not something that I can actually turn off. Looks like these went a long way. That's most probably because this was that dirt that happened when I was I put a little bit too much power into my boring machines and ended up just digging everything that was loaded by me standing there. So I'm going to light this up and then I'll meet you back at where we have the setup for our boring machines. Oh, this is not where I want to be. That's fine, nothing's going to come down there. Okay, so now I have everything pretty well lit up. At least you can see now. And it is still a little bit dark when we start walking down here, and that's just because of the bedrock. When you start getting down to this level, it kind of has like a black fog. But I think what I'm going to do is right here, because this has 3 in a row. Let's see if it has 4. Nope. Oh, I wouldn't get that lucky. So it has 3 in a row of bedrock. And the bedrock breaker can actually break 4 in a row in front of it. So I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of these 3 being right here, so I won't have to move it as much. And I'm going to put my bedrock breaker right here. Now it's facing the wrong way, so I'm going to go ahead and take my screwdriver and flip it around. And you can see it. You can make it face up and down as well. So now it's facing towards the bedrock, and we're going to need to put our industrial coil. Just go ahead and break that. And since I'm going to need a lever anyway, let me go ahead and grab that here. So I'm going to put my industrial coil right here, so that way it's outputting the power into the bedrock breaker. And if we pull up our RotaryCraft handbook, we can see when we go to the bedrock breaker, right here, it requires 8.192 torque, and then at least 262144 watts. So if I pull up my calculator here real quick, we're due 262144 divided by 8192 leaves us at 32 for the rads. But I'd like for this to go a little bit faster, so we don't really need to mess with the torque, and that's 8192. And 32 rads is the minimum that we can put into this and it function. But I don't want to just go off the minimum, so I'm going to just do 256. Hopefully it doesn't drain my my coil here right away. But if we let this run, and let's just see how much power we're actually using. That's not too bad. That'll run for a good little while. So I'm going to let this run, and what we should see is basically the bedrock should start shaving down. So I'm going to give this a little bit of time and come back, and we should start to see it shaving down. Okay, now you can see that this is shaving down. It's going quite slowly, and you can kind of see right here. I'm going to wait for it to do another tick of it. There it goes, and it'll go one layer at a time. Now there's 16 layers in basically the way that this works. 16 layers in any block. So it's going to take a little while to cut up just one piece of bedrock. And what happens is when this one finishes, then it'll start working on the next one in front of it. But if we increase the power here, let's do, instead of 256, let's 2560. So we're at another 0 there. Now if we look, we're using up power 10 times as fast, but we still have quite a bit. And what that'll do is that'll make this run that much faster. Now, I can't say whether or not it'll be 10 times faster, but it's definitely going to work faster. So I'm going to let this finish with this block. And because it does have to finish with a whole block of bedrock before you can actually get anything from it. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time. Actually, I'll let it work through all three, so that way we have a good little bit of the material to work with. And I'll be right back and show you how we get basically bedrock dust out of this machine. So I have been letting this run a little bit, and I've sped it up quite a bit. You can see here I'm just putting a lot of rads in, and I'm probably going to use up all my power really quickly. But as you can see, it's eating through the bedrock. Now, if you have a huge source of power, then this really isn't a big deal. Now, what it does is it collects bedrock dust in the machine. Now, the machine has to finish with a whole piece of bedrock before it'll create any dust. And it actually stores it in the machine. You can't put a chest or anything like that on top. You actually have to right-click on it. And what it'll do is it'll give you bedrock dust. And for every time you click, it'll give you 2. And that's just because each piece of bedrock will give you 2 bedrock dust. Now, what I found is these are just phantom blocks. Or those little items, they're phantom items. If I log out and log back in, then they will go away. So now we've finished because there's no more bedrock here. So in order to, say, pick up this piece of bedrock, I would actually have to move my bedrock breaker. Since I am almost out of power, what I'm going to do is go ahead and take this here and go back to my base where I should have a nicely charged industrial coil, and I'll just switch it out. Ooh, here's a nice spot with 4. Yeah, let's go ahead and put our bedrock breaker right here real quick. And I believe if I face this way and place it down, then it should just orient itself right. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So let me go ahead and go grab the other industrial coil, and I'll come right back. Actually, I'll go ahead and mine this out to get some more bedrock dust, and then I'll show you what we can do with it. Okay, so now we have 36 bedrock dust. It's not a lot, but it does take a little bit of time to, to get the bedrock dust. So I'm just going to work with this for right now. And there's a couple different things that we can do with it if we look here. We can make bedrock ingots, which is what we're going to make right now. But it's also used to make pressure heads, which is used for like the compactor. If you wanted to make diamonds, that's how you would do it. The other thing that it can be used for, I believe that's actually it. Oh, is different shafts. Now, when you make shafts out of bedrock or gears or anything else, it doesn't have a maximum that it can transfer, right? And what I mean by that is like this here, the shaft junctions and these shafts, these steel shafts here, they can only transfer so much torque and speed before they're actually snapped. The bedrock ones can transfer any amount, as far as I understand. The other thing is, say I was using a gearbox. Now right here I'm using a CVT unit, so I don't really need a gearbox. But say I wanted to put a gearbox here that just changed the ratio to, 2. Well, gearboxes need lubricant. However, the bedrock gearboxes don't. So I could very easily, now that I have some bedrock dust, I could very easily put a bedrock gearbox here and, use my CVT somewhere else. And then I wouldn't have to worry about any lubricant. basically just set it down and it'll do its thing. Why is that not running? I wonder if they changed the config so that these don't actually turn anymore on the server. It would make sense. I mean, if you have a whole bunch... Yeah, see, it is transferring power. Yeah, see, it's still working. It just... I guess the visual of it isn't going. Which kind of makes sense because when you have who knows how many people running these on the server, and they're all spinning, it's going to lag a little bit. So, you know, for any server admins, if you're having a lot of lag and you do have RotaryCraft installed on your server, then it may be something that you want to do. Now, because they're not spinning, sometimes it makes it a little hard to see if they're hooked up correctly. So you're going to have to use your angular transducer a little more just to make sure that everything, you know, is transferring power correctly. So, like I said, there's a couple different things that we can do with our bedrock dust. What I would actually like to do is find my steel, and I'm going to put my steel and some bedrock dust. And that should get me 9 ingots. Now, there's a couple different things that we can do with this. Let's see if we have any sticks. We can make tools. If I say right here, can I not make a shovel? Yeah, I can make a bedrock shovel. Ah, I need shaft units. Let's see if I have any shaft units. I do. I have 2. So I can make things like a bedrock shovel. Now, the nice thing about the bedrock shovel is if I... Yeah, let's just grab some dirt. Let's see... Yeah, stack should work. If I go and I place down a whole bunch of dirt, and I use my bedrock shovel, you can see it's quite fast. It's probably about the same speed as diamond. But if you look, there is no durability loss. Absolutely none. This will last forever. And that kind of goes into the other thing that I want to make. And that is armor. You can make bedrock armor. And just like the tools, it has 0 durability. Basically, it's infinite. But there's one other thing that we can do that's specific to the bedrock armor. What I can do is I can take the chest plate and take my jetpack and throw it on there. Let's see, does it need to be a specific way? Let me pull out my handbook here. Maybe it needs to be in the workbench or the work table here. Let's try that. There we go. So we can make a bedrock jetpack. I wonder why it has silk touch on it. Ah, that's okay. So now we have armor that will never degrade, and I should be able... Is it empty? Oh, it's empty. Now I can use it to fly, on top of, you know, using my broom. So let me just take this off, and I'm going to throw it on in here and let it fill up. Now, this does take quite a while to fill up. And I have played around with the filling station, and even if I put more speed or torque or, you know, any more energy into it, it doesn't fill up any faster. So unfortunately, this is kind of one of those painfully slow machines that you really can't do anything about but let it sit there. Now, right now, I really don't need to have a whole bunch of fuel in, just because it's the jetpack is not something that I use all the time, but it would help for, you know, for stuff like getting on top of my house and things like that. But now the nice thing is I can use the jetpack for a little bit of, vertical thrust. And then when I need to fly around, just, throw down my broom and fly around on that. And it also means that I don't have to worry as much about armor, because now I have armor that's not going to break. Let's see if I can sleep. No. Let me get rid of the rain, and let's see. We're going and start on the next project. Okay, guys, so it's no longer raining, and while I was waiting for it to be night for me to sleep, I went and moved my Thaumcraft stuff, and I actually moved it down there. And it's just another room the same size, just below this one. Because what I'd like to do is I'd like to take this one and use it for Ars Magica, just because it's on the surface, and for stuff like the Light Nexus, that's going to be a lot easier. So I have my Thaumcraft dungeon, if you will. And I don't really have an easy way up and down. So my jetpack is still filling up, but I do have one thing that I can make. So let me grab a little bit of materials that I'm going to need here. I'm going to need some earth and air. And if we go down here, I should be able to make something that's going to help us get up and down. Air, earth. I'm going to need a little bit of nitor. No. There we go. Nitor and iron. And I don't have enough V, but I do have another one. Arcane Levitator. And because I have the hole right here, I'm actually going to just put this right here. And the way that the Arcane Levitator works is if I stand on it, it'll push me up. And then I can get off. And if I stand over the hole and I hold shift, then I can go down. So it'll be a nice, easy way to go up and down to my my Thaumcraft room, and then, up to the top of my base here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this stuff up, and let's get started with Ars Magica. Okay, the first thing you're going to need for Ars Magica 2 is to find one of these little pools. And it's a pool of basically magical essence. Now, I just happen to build my house right next to one. And so you find them, and they're basically, some of them will be 4x4, some of them will be a little bit bigger, but you can tell that they're not water because, one, your Wayla won't know what to do. If I look at water, it'll tell me it's water. Let me come over here. Alright, it's supposed to tell me it's water. Okay, maybe not. So basically, water is that color blue, but the magical essence is a lot lighter. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is craft the guide to Ars Magica, the Arcane Compendium. So what you would want to do is you can put a block on top. I wonder if it'll work right here. We put an item frame and a book. And what it should do, yeah, that's working. It should grab magical energy from your pool of essence and infuse it into the book. And it only takes a second or two, but that's really cool looking. And there we go. So now, if I just break that, we have our Arcane Compendium. And if you look in here, it'll tell me everything that I know right now about Ars Magica. Looks like it's telling me everything. Yeah, see, I don't know anything about modifiers yet. So this is going to be the start of what we need. And you can see here, once I have this book, now down at the bottom, I have a mana bar on the right and a what's called burnout bar on the left. And it's that blue and red bar. Now, unfortunately, I think this is about all we have time for this episode. So at least we have the compendium. Next episode, what we'll go ahead and do is start working with Ars Magica and see what we can do with it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and with that, I will see you guys later.